copywriting is the art of getting people to take an action. It's salesmanship in print is what, kind of what they call it. And so writing to get people to make sales, pick up the phone and book a call, donate their time, whatever it is. If you click this link to go here, if you want them to take an action, it's copywriting.
Hey, welcome to another episode of the Coffee Break Podcast, where our mission is to share business ideas, practices, and strategies while we enjoy our cup of coffee. And man, I'm excited today. We've got a really fun conversation. Bobbie Maloy is with us today, and she is, full of energy and excitement, talking about how to engage with your customers, how to be more mindful of how you're engaging with your customers and really bringing them into your journey and writing copy that is engaging and involving them into what's going on in your world and in your business. Lots of great, valuable advice. I would recommend you get ready to jot down some notes. I've got a couple of pages here that are very, very valuable, and we'll be implementing those in our organization. So we're going to jump into this conversation. But before we do, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and subscribe. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. You can do that on YouTube, LOCDOCINC. Actually, I had somebody send me a message the other day, a screenshot the other day with the subscribe button engaged and a big circle around it to let me know that they had subscribed. So make sure you do that as well. And you can send me a message if you'd like to let me know. But also, if you would like to subscribe to the audio version of this podcast, make sure you do that as well. You can do that on the platform you're listening right now, or you can go find out all of the platforms we're listed on by visiting LOCDOCINC. Actually, that's not even the address. It's lockdock.net/podcast. Make sure you go check that out and subscribe there. We have over 150 episodes of business ideas, practices, and strategies that are going to impact you. So make sure you check that out and share this episode with somebody that can get value out of it. But right now, grab a cup of coffee and get ready for this conversation.
We got so much to say. We got a podcast to make. We're sipping on lattes. And it's time for a coffee break. It's time for a coffee break. Oh, yeah.
Bobbie, welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being here. I was just admiring your shelving in the back. I'm very much peculiar about watching everybody's backdrop and trying to read all the books that they have on their shelf.
Oh, I've got some good ones back there. I tell you, some good bit of business books, a couple of psychology books, and I think there's one from Roald Dahl back there if you can find it. And
then there's some jars on there. What's in the jars, or do I want to know?
Yeah, well, so because I write for a lot of clients, some of those are their client products. So different products that I've written for. And there's a couple dragons back there. If you can find them, sometimes when I move, you'll see them. Naturally.
All right. We're going to jump into rapid fire. 5 randomly selected questions just to get under your skin with unknown point values. Are you ready?
Oh, let's go.
All right. Let's see here. These are very random, by the way. I have no preparation for this, especially today. What is your best travel story?
Okay. So when my oldest was just 6 months old, we had taken him we weren't living in Texas at the time. So we had flown into Texas to visit my family, then flown up to Kansas to be with my husband's family. And somewhere in the path, he got something in his system, and we blew through every piece of clothing we brought for him. I threw away all the clothes. I threw away the bag. I threw away the stroller.
And the car.
And because then we had to fly home. And so we were on the plane coming back into DC, and he rocket it goes all the way up his back.
Oh, man.
I had no more clothes. None. They were gone. That's how bad this was. I looked at the flight attendant, went, "I'm sorry, do you have a trash bag?" Literally wrapped my 6-month-old up down in a trash bag and carry him off the plane. I have nothing left.
Yeah.
I had nothing left.
Oh, that's great. How old is he now?
He is 12. And when he hears this story, because I will absolutely share this, especially when he gets married and when he finds his first girlfriend, all of it. This is a story. Oh my God, this is a story that will live in infamy.
In a similar vein, I have a video of my daughter. She was probably about 5 at the time, 5 or 6. That I have been holding on to, and it is a prized possession for that very moment, either graduation, marriage, or something like that. So I'm pretty excited about it.
Sometimes I think that's why we become parents.
It happened to us at some point too. So it's just it's just passing it along. All right. What is the weirdest Wikipedia rabbit hole you've ever stumbled down?
Oh my God. Yeah. Sadly, it has been a long time since I have been on Wikipedia because it is a giant rabbit hole. So I think the weirdest one was, it wasn't about aliens, although that's a really fun rabbit hole to go down, especially in the last year or so. It was about an underground society, literally living underground that, so it was like the counterpoint to aliens. And I'm like, this is such a train wreck. I can't not go through this.
Yeah.
And I wish I could remember what it was because it was impressive. Like it's almost, it's like this, it was like a weird random world that was mirrored. I'm like,
oh, wow.
How many people don't believe this? Please tell me.
Yeah.
Although if you ever want some real fun to go, the rabbit hole of the Flat Earthers Society is also an amazing rabbit hole to go down.
I got to be cautious of that. I don't want to get stuck there. I'm strange about. I probably have, which anyway, on my phone, I have so many tabs on the browser, right, that are opened up at all given times. But my thing is, anytime I see somebody either on a show that I'm watching, maybe an athlete on a game or something like that, I Wikipedia them. And so I've just got like, and then you start clicking on their connections of their connections of their connections, and then it's 32 tabs later. All right, cool.
That's the way my computer looks, is all the tabs open.
We don't want to talk about that. Question number, that should be one of the ones that we have. How many tabs do you have open at any given time? Question number 3. Would you rather spend a year living in an RV or on a sailboat?
An RV. I get seasick.
Really?
And it's funny. So I've found, I think it's called boning. Boning as a Sudafed type thing will allow me to go for a longer period of time. But I've been on cruises, I've been on little fishing boats, I've been deep sea fishing. It doesn't stop me from getting on the boat, but I've been diving, from boat diving and all sorts of stuff. But no, I get seasick, so really? I'd take an RV all day, any day.
Huh? I've been on lots of boats. I've never gotten seasick. I do have like this strange, my wife and I talk about it all the time, going on a sailboat, like having a sailboat. But we also think that we like the idea of it, but the actual hard work and practice associated with it, we're not quite sure that we're ready to put into that.
Yeah.
All right. Is there a household? This is question number 4. Is there a household chore that you actually enjoy doing?
Oh, that I enjoy doing? No. No, okay, better the ones I pawn off on my kids.
the ones that the kids can do now, those are the best.
They are the best. There's a lot of them that are the worst, but no, there's nothing that I truly enjoy doing as a household chore.
All right, last question number 5. What is one movie that you never get tired of watching?
The Princess Bride.
All right.
It is the best D&D campaign put to movie ever.
Okay.
So if you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons.
Uh-oh.
Right? So if you've ever played Dungeons and Dragons, because there's all these little things that go on, right? And so if you've ever, and you get like one player who's like, no, I have a wheelbarrow, right? You're like, oh man, if only we had, no, I have a wheelbarrow. Oh, so wait a minute, we have a giant. I jump on his back and start beating him on his head. Think about this. Oh, you're on a sailboat and there are eels in the water. There are these eels of, the crazy eels. I jump into the water. It is It is the best D&D campaign ever put to movie. Better than the ones that they wrote specifically for D&D. It's amazing because you're like, what the hell? Why would you do that? But that's the type of stuff that happens when you're, seriously nerd culture. I can watch that movie over and over. That and inconceivable.
I'm glad that you classified it as nerd culture. So if Levi, and he may be in earshot of this, Levi is one of our folks on our team here, and he is a big Dungeons and Dragons guy. And I've never played it before, but I've heard him talk about it to the point that I know exactly what you're talking about. But
I like it for a lot of different reasons. And I enjoy the meta aspect of it because, if you're going to go there, right? You get to play this character. And so you put everything else aside and you become this character. And I use that in real life all the time, right? So I'm like, I need to become somebody who's good on the phone for sales calls. So I will put my character on. I will get in the character and get on sales calls. And so I can do them the same way with everything else. So I enjoy it for the aspect of going crazy and like being a dwarf that, his favorite song is row, row, row your boat. And so you can do that in D&D and you can become this character and let the rest of the world go and be that character for a moment. So I use it as an opportunity to just further become better in life in general, because I'm like, I can just be this character if I need to, and I can build that out.
So as an interesting segue, which I guess I need to score this. Hold on a second. Rapid fire, random score. I'll give you 846. So congratulations there on your score.
See, fantastic.
I should have, if I had
out of 10,000, so I'm only did slightly.
If I had a dice, I would have rolled it, so that would have given us our score.
There you go.
So segueing from our Dungeons and Dragons dive there, that I have no idea exactly what I'm talking about. It's interesting because we're going to be talking about story today, the importance of story and being able to bring a customer into a story in a journey, right? And I can see that even in your excitement of communicating that, you can easily put yourself into that position of writing. So let's kind of talk a little bit, because we've probably jumped in like at the end of the conversation. So I'm going to try to spoon us back out here real quick. So give us a little bit of concept of who you are. So you're joining us from Texas, and we're randomly having this conversation. And I don't know how we got from where we started to Dungeons and Dragons, but I love it. So tell us a little bit about who you are and kind of what it is that you are helping people do right now.
Well, absolutely. So I'm a copywriter, which is not the legal protection of your data. That's a lawyer. And I did not sleep in a Holiday Inn Express, nor do I play one on TV. So I don't take care of that. I write emails, sales pages, landing pages, and ads for businesses. And I do that so that they can increase their revenue without increasing their marketing budget, because we talk to their customer in the way that their customer needs to hear, so that they become raving fans, lifetime customers, and they willingly throw money in your direction. And you can do that all with your words. And that's what I help people do.
So I have a lot of interest in this, maybe we'll talk about that a little later, but this is something that I'm really kind of excited about. And I believe with any marketing strategy, I think a lot of people get really hung up on the pizzazz of, video or graphics or whatever. And at the end of it, and I think you were mentioning some stats before we get started, so I'll let you toss those out. But a lot of people, or all of that, let me rephrase that question. All of those things start with the script. And we've learned that very much so is the written words that are going to carry that story. Now you can visualize that, but a lot of times people start with the visual and then try to write the words to fit that. And so flipping that around in a different order is very impactful. So I guess that's a statement, but I want to pose it in a little bit of a question is, How are you helping people understand that? Because I've been stuck in that other mindset for a long period of time, that it's here's a picture, here's a video, here's a thing, and it's obvious. So, kind of make it up as you go type situation. But why is it important to start with the kind of that writing first?
So no matter who you are, where you've been, you've gone through school and you've gone through English, right? And I mean, how many people remember writing a paper for English and going, ugh. Sure, it's grammatically correct. Absolutely. like your English teacher is like, but this is worth an A or not, depending on who you were in English. And a lot of people understand, they go, oh, I can write. I don't need a copywriter, right? I've been writing my whole life. The problem is we write the way that they would for an English paper. So it comes across sounding stuffy. It sounds like super heavy corporate speak. And you lose people because it's confusing and very difficult to read. So what I write tends to be very, it looks simple. And, I get one of the best compliments that I can get is, well, that looks like I could have wrote it. I said, yes, but you didn't. Right. Right. And the reason is we don't think in proper grammatically correct English. Our brains don't work that way. Our brains work in very short sentences. We have short thoughts, single thoughts at a time, right? Your brain, while we can go on a tangent, and we have gone through a couple of those, right? While your brain can go on those tangents, it's still one idea focused. And you see it really bad in people with ADHD, this bang, 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 but it's always one idea and short ideas at a time. And so if you're writing the way that an English paper would be written, and you're writing for that A for your English teacher, you're actually not communicating with people very well because they have a hard time understanding it. And so that's why it's important to pay attention to your words, because if you don't start writing the way your customers are thinking to begin with, to make that initial connection, you've lost them. They will go on to the next company that does that and they can understand them. So
you just expounded on this quite significant, and I'm going to kind of sum it up in my short thought. A lot of times we, especially when you're in your own industry, you really are passionate about it and you're really knowledgeable about it. So if I would sit down and write a story or an article about something that was related to our business, I would probably go really hardcore deep into the technical knowledge base and mumbo jumbo that is really important to me, or that is industry speak, kind of like you just said, corporate speak, too stuffy, too confusing. And I'm gonna look at it and go, man, this is just packed full of lots of information. And then somebody else is gonna look at it and go, I don't even know what this is. We understand the frustrations HOA board members and property managers face when deciding the best solution for their HOA and pool security. Should we use a keypad, hand out keys, or install a key card system? Do we even need cameras? These are some of the questions that are difficult to navigate, and we're here to help. At Lockdock Security, we've spent over 20 years working with homeowners associations and property managers to find the system that best fits the pool and HOA needs. Camera systems for the front gate or front entrance, key card systems for the pool gates, or simply updating the gate so that it meets safety and code compliance. We like to take the guesswork out of the process to answer any questions and help find the right solution. Our mission is to help you protect your people and your property, and that includes pools. Contact our team today to schedule your free consultation for your community.
Do you know what the average reading level is for an adult in America?
I have no idea.
It's like a 9th grade reading level or less.
Okay.
So when you have all those technical, it's a lot of technical terms and you write for that, and it's great because you understand it. The majority of people in the country don't. Now, that doesn't mean that you cannot take something that's incredibly technical and make it easy for the masses to understand. And it's absolutely doable. I do it all the time. It could be, super crazy medical. It could be, rocket science. You can simplify it down. As Einstein said, if you can't draw it with a crayon, you don't understand it well enough. And so it's that idea of taking these complex things and making them so that the average person can understand it. And it really does start with, how do you structure it? What are the words that you use? And how do you communicate with that?
Well, and I think the big thing is understanding the point where you're coming from, or the audience that you're trying to write for, and no matter what kind of structure or format that you're trying to go after, it's you look at something like that and you're like, man, I wrote this incredible article. It's got so much good information in it, and it could be great, but if someone can't digest it and figure out what to do with it, then and maybe the other thing too is as an individual, as you're trying to write something like that or trying to communicate that to people, you want it to look like it has a high level of knowledge. But what you just said is let's kind of simplify that.
Well, you've triggered on, and it's a hot button topic for me as a copywriter, because there is a difference between content writing, which is writing to inform, and copywriting, which is writing to get people to take an action. Okay? So content writing is exactly what you were talking about. You can write this amazing blog article, and it's great, and it's in depth, and it's technical. And you can even have a call to action at the end, but that doesn't mean that call to action is going to get people to do things, because they're in learning mode. They're in reading, digesting mode. Copywriting is the art of getting people to take an action. It's salesmanship in print is what, kind of what they call it. And so writing to get people to make sales, pick up the phone and book a call, donate their time, whatever it is. If you click this link to go here, if you want them to take an action, it's copywriting. And so there is a difference, and both are absolutely needed in a holistic strategy for a company. But one is the copywriting is very specific in what its intent is. Now, yes, there's information that has to happen before that sale can be made, but you still write it very differently. And so it's a hot button topic for a lot of copywriters. And the reason is true copywriting is the art of getting people to take an action. Whereas you'll get a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm a copywriter, and they write blogs and articles and that type of stuff. And again, very needed, but there's a split in the copywriting world because of that simple designation.
Okay, I'm tracking with you. Thank you for clarification of the term. And the other thing that I'm taking away from that is, if you try to take content writing and put it where copywriting needs to be, you're going to get a inaccurate result, or maybe you're not going to get the response that you're looking for.
Absolutely. Well, most likely you won't get the result you're looking for, because people, they can't. It's not that they can't understand it, but their brain isn't being moved to an action. Their brain is being moved to consume content. Yeah. And so it's different.
Okay. So with that, because this is something that I've been intrigued by, and sometimes I put myself in these different positions, and I don't want to talk about my inbox, but my inbox is horrible and I don't really do well with email. So therefore, email marketing, or a well-written, copywritten email to me is unfortunately a waste, because it's not going to be something that I'm going to see, and it's not going to entice me to take action. With that said, I do understand, and I do firmly believe, because I've seen the results of it, that is a majority of the communication flow for people in business. Where are you still seeing that? Is email dying? Is the email strategy to get in front of your customers dying? Is it all social? Do we just, everything needs to be on Instagram and TikTok dances type thing? Where is that happening?
So marketers, and I love them. I do. And I am one myself, to a point. Marketers will tell you this amazing, and yet very horrible stat that the human's attention span is worse than that of a goldfish, right? How many times have you've probably heard of that before? So that's 8 seconds. So we're less than 8 seconds is our attention span. And my response to that is, then why are movies getting longer? So movies are longer now than they were, even if it's only 10 or 20 minutes longer. Movies are longer now than they were. And the reason for that is, and this is where I can go head to head with people that will spout attention.
Yeah.
Our attention spans are not getting worse. Our BS meters are getting better. Right? So your emails, your sales pages, your ads aren't working, not because your prospect's attention span is shorter. It's because you're boring and you're not saying something that's capturing their attention.
Oh yeah.
And so that's really the difference. You're not relevant. You're not timely. You're not adding value to the person that it is that you're trying to capture the attention. And so in this scroll society that we have, whether that's through our email inbox or filtering or anything like that, you're not relevant to the person you're trying to reach. And you're not relevant because most likely you're boring. Now, it doesn't matter what your topic is. It can be interesting and exciting to the person who you actually need to have as a customer. And so is social the wave of the future? It's a wave of the future. Email's not going anywhere. Email is not dead. And I can say that because I have made millions of dollars over the last couple of years for my clients through email. I've also done it through Facebook ads to landing pages and all that type of stuff. So I've done it on both sides. And really, if you don't have an email list, or you have an email list and you're not utilizing it properly, you are leaving 30% of your revenue on the table. And that's a stat according to HubSpot. 30% of revenue can and should come from your emails, because you drive sales. You get people interested in who you are as a company. You can build brand loyalty. There are some brands and people and products that send me an email and I will open it every time the moment that I get it. There are some that I put to read later. And if it goes into the read later file, it doesn't get read. So we all have those types of emails and sometimes those inboxes, but it absolutely is. I think it's a huge missing piece that a lot of people either don't do properly or they just plain get wrong.
Okay. So don't do properly or just plain get wrong, or don't take the initiative to actually get it started. Right. So,
Yes.
So I think we could potentially have laid out a good case that you should at least do something. So now let's assume that we're at least doing something. What are we doing wrong?
Well, the number one thing is consistency, right? So let's start with consistency, because then you get people who are used to seeing your stuff, right? So whether that's once a month, once a week, twice a week, daily, it doesn't matter. And a lot of it depends on, have you done it before? And what is the expectation you've set for your audience? Okay. Right. So that's number one. The second thing that companies do, and they do it very badly, is they write emails as though it's going out to 100,000 people. Okay.
Too broad of an audience.
It's the way they talk. I mean, seriously, if you get an email that says, "Hey, everybody, we've got a sale. It's going on right now. Come in and use this generic code that we've created for everybody." Is that how you get your buddy to go out to dinner with you? You're like, "Hey, John, let's go out to dinner tonight." It's personalized, right? Which is a lot of times why you'll see a lot of marketers will get the first name of somebody. So it's first name, email, download this thing, right? Because that matters. Like the number one best sound to anybody in the world is their own name. Everybody loves to hear their name. So if you get an email that says, "Hey friend, I'm excited to meet you." Or you get that, "Hey Chad, really, really excited to get to know you," right? One speaks to you. So the way to fix that as a company is when you sit down to write your email, imagine the perfect person that you want sitting just the other side of your screen and have a conversation with them. Because that's really what it's about. Have a conversation with somebody. And if you sit there and you're like, "Hey, so here's what happened to me today. Oh my gosh, went out, it's raining and it's it's overcast, it's raining, and it made me think, oh my gosh, I would love to invite you to this wonderful program that keeps the rain off your head." Yep. Right? Well, I've started with a story. I've made it personal to you. And it's very, it's story-based. And then I let it into the sale. 9 times out of 10, somebody's going to go, "Oh, that's really cool. Maybe I need this umbrella." Yeah.
Yeah, you've understood that this is something that's happening, so it's a very relevant topic. Hey, I was just sitting here thinking about the fact that I walked out to my car moments ago and got drenched because of the rain, and I remembered that this cool umbrella is here, and you should have one too.
You can have it too. All you have to do is click this link.
Yes.
Right now. That works in some industries. It doesn't work in others. But the idea is you have to have a reason why you're contacting. This was another thing that you need, right? So it's like, that's number 3. Have a reason why you're contacting people. All right. Now, depending on when people listen to this episode, whether it's now or even, 10 years in the future, because we're all doing amazing. And they're like, oh my God, I need to go back and find out who that Bobbie Maloy lady was and listen to that very specific episode. Doesn't matter when you're listening to this. Mm-hmm. If, we are leading up into the holiday season.
Sure.
Let me ask you this question. How many Black Friday emails do you expect to get in your inbox?
Oh my goodness. I don't even want to think about it, because I think I've already started getting them.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Right. And it's funny is people are trying to beat the punch. Well, the problem is you're stuck in everybody else's thing. So you become this amazing. I mean, yes, Me Too means something very different this day, but you get stuck in this Me Too kind of marketing. Oh my God. Oh, I also have a Black Friday. Like, I also have this.
Yeah.
So change it up, do something different, right? Have a reason why you're contacting them. Mm-hmm. And yes, it's an amazing time for businesses right now as we lead into the holiday season, but have it like Red Wednesday. And they're like, what the heck is Red Wednesday? Yeah. Well, I didn't want to send you a Black Friday email. So here's a Red Wednesday email. And you're like, sometimes that's all you need. You just need a reason why you're contacting. You know what? The day ends in Y. So I figured I would send you this amazing new opportunity.
It's something that I've picked up on. It's been a pet peeve of mine over the years. Is a lot of times you don't hear from a company for an entire period, and the only time you hear from them is when they send an email out saying that they're going to be closed for a specific holiday. So maybe it's around Labor Day or 4th of July or something like that. I haven't heard from you all year, and all of a sudden, hey, just want to let you know we're closed on this coming holiday. Or a happy holidays, a Merry Christmas, or whatever type of email, and it's like, what is this? So
yeah, that's your sporadicness, right? So remember we talked about being consistent, and you kind of, you do reach into another area. Don't always send sales emails.
Yeah,
right. If every email you send is a sales email, well, people are going to look at you and go, well, I don't need to buy this.
Sure.
But if you can send them an email that says, I just wanted to let you know that I let the dog into the office today and he made absolutely everybody smile. Hope you're having a great day. Right?
Yep.
You get an email like that from somebody that you're developing a relationship with, or a business that you're developing a relationship with. You're like, well, that was kind of cool. And it made, you get a little picture of, Fido. My dog's name is Donut. And I'm sure every so often that my son named him. It was great. But I've sent a picture to some of my clients with, my dog just sitting there.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, brought him into my office today. Just wanted to snap a picture. He's excited that I'm working for you too.
Yeah.
Send.
Huh.
Right.
So just finding different ways to connect. So, and maybe that's
that's it, right? Yeah. It's connection, because you can connect to people through your email, and you actually should connect to them through your email. If you just think of it as only a sales tool, mm-hmm. then you're doing it wrong.
Can you copy this key? That's a question we get asked about 3,422 times a year. And how can you actually be sure that the person who asked that question is supposed to get a copy of that key? Well, we think you should always know who can copy your keys to your business and your home, because it could be your neighbor, an old employee, a contractor, or even worse, your mother-in-law. At Lockdock Security, we believe in protected key systems, so you always know who has a copy of your key. To find out more, visit lockdoc.net or stop by our Charlotte location. Lockdock Security, helping you protect your people and your property.
For our business, but specifically, we're a service business, so we don't have a particular widget that we're selling. We don't have an umbrella necessarily, right? And so thoughts on, especially from a service perspective, because I know that there's a lot of those types of businesses that are going to be listening to this podcast. How is it that you're you're not wanting to send sales emails, because I definitely agree with that. Like, that's just a total turnoff if you're just always trying to get somebody to buy something. But how are you connecting with, or what are some pieces of advice that you would say from a service company's perspective that is a I need you when I need you type company, not a I've got a hot new product that I've got to get right now?
So you want to be top of mind, right? So it is building that relationship. Actually, a great piece of advice that I've given for a couple of service industries. And so these are like disaster recovery type service industry. So I have a good buddy who, like, if your house floods, you call him.
Yep.
Right? He's like, I don't send sales emails. I'm
Correct.
like, I know. You probably shouldn't.
30% off. You're next.
30% off if you flood your home, so I can come in and clean this up. Right. And okay, I make light of that.
Sure.
That's not what that's meant to be doing. I said, you use equipment, right? And he goes, yes. And I'm like, so you have to be real careful, especially in that industry, because you don't want to sit there and go, hey, I'm at this address today cleaning up somebody's house. But you can name and anthropomorphize your technology, right? So Bob, the water sucker, is sitting in the closet and he's bored, right? Or, Bob had a great day. He cleaned up, 13 gallons of water that came out of somebody's sink. Just remember, the next time you need me, Bob is ready to go, right? So you can give your stuff a personality, and that's really what it is. Oh, a huge brand that did this is the Yeti ice coolers, right? They gave their products a personality. And so that was how that was done that way. But you can give your service a personality. You can talk about, especially in disaster recovery, if you were just at a place and, they only called you after they called the insurance company, and you're like, well, you probably could have called me first. We'd have been able to get a better deal. Now it's going to cost you more. So tell people that type of information can absolutely be shared in email. And, hey, next time you need that, it can always be at the end. You can even be at the PS, should you ever need or know of anybody that needs our services, we're always here to help. And so your email is still building relationship. It's keeping you top of mind for this service-oriented industry, depending on whatever it is that you are, especially when it's a service where it's something is wrong and I need that service now.
Sure.
So you can absolutely do that. And
no, that's good advice, because that is, I think, the big struggle that a lot of folks that I've talked to have is, you don't want to always be pushing a specific product, and quite frankly, you don't always have a product to be pushing, because it's a as needed type service, and you're just trying to be that top of mind. So trying to find ways to add value. So if it's creating personality around your product or service, or what are your thoughts on inviting people into the kind of the journey of your business through through knowledge or through other shared experiences? So, hey, we had this other customer that was running through this similar situation, and here was the result.
Yeah, absolutely. And talk about it. You give it to them in a story format. 100%. Yeah, because if you take anybody who's experiencing a problem that needs the service that you're providing, and it doesn't matter what you sell, whether it is a product or a service, if your product or your service doesn't solve a problem for your consumer, you're going to have a hard time finding the match where people will give you money.
Yep.
So talk about the problem. And don't talk about the problem in, hey, are you significantly overweight and you need to lose like 50 pounds yesterday? No, we don't need to hear that. We have been that's been blown away over our head. We're like, stop doing that. Right. But you struggle with something, or, your customers or your past customers had a struggle of some kind, that you can share that struggle that they went through as a way of educating people to go, and this is why we're here.
So let me give you, I want to give you a couple of points, and then I want to get your kind of immediate reaction on how you would share this kind of a story. So, and this is very specific for our business. So we had a customer that had a parking lot that had a dumpster in it. and it was a private dumpster that people weren't supposed to use except for the tenants of that particular building. So that was the problem that they had, was they were struggling to keep people out of using the dumpster that they weren't supposed to be there. So one of the solutions that we offered was a camera system to be able to monitor that particular area. Mm-hmm. How would you share that story for other customers?
I would start at the climax of your story, like right before it's, so handcuffs and a siren. So I'd start there, handcuffs, sirens, and he was found. Mm-hmm. And you're like, wait, what? You're like, okay. So it's almost like a news story. You're like, oh, but I'm starting in the middle of the action. We found this guy. But he was dumping some of the weirdest stuff in our thing, right? And, so they come back to us. They're like, you know what we found in your dumpster over here? Or whatever that is, or it's too full. So you can start in the middle of your action, but you don't quite give away what's going on. Got it. Start at the middle.
I like that. That's good advice. Okay. So, but but
good advice.
but the component of sharing that pain point that they were actually experiencing versus just, here's a brand new camera system that you need to get.
Yes. So pain sells, right? Pain, fear sells. The problem is not always using that, mm-hmm. right? So it's problem solution. Mm-hmm. What is the problem? What is the solution? Ideally, the solution is you, mm-hmm. right? You can get them to the point where it's like you understand their problem. The problem is the dumpster's full and the people that live there can't use the dumpster, right? So there you go. Yeah. This is a huge problem. How do you solve that? Well, you could put a lock on it and they have to use their key card. Mm-hmm. Who wants to do that? Like, who walks out of their house with their trash going, oh, damn it, get this down and I'll put it in my mouth and I'll go to walk. And then they're like, now you're going over to the dumpster, right? So there you go. Tell them that story, right? So you're like, I got this key card in my mouth and I'm full of trash and I'm going to go to the dish and get this thing open so I can, right? You're like, nobody wants that.
Yeah.
Right? You laughed. You know what? That company's going to laugh. And then you're going to go, would you like a better solution that solves the problem and makes your tenants happy?
I like it. All right. You've brought a lot of good, valuable advice, and I want to also be mindful of time because we could probably go on for hours, and so we may have to do a second episode down the line. A couple of points that I'm taking away here: consistency, personalized, mm-hmm. and a reason why. Don't just send an email just to send an email. You need to have a reason to connect with that individual.
Doesn't have to be a big reason either. Just give them a reason. Hey, that's why I'm reaching out to you today.
Very cool. If people want to reach out to you to find out how you can help them write some amazing copy that is going to generate millions and billions of dollars for them, what is the best way to do that?
Well, they are absolutely welcome to email me. It's Bobbie, Bobbie, at conversionhacker.com. And I have a free download. It's a 21-point copy audit that they can download on my website. So if they go to conversionhacker.com/checklist, and it is a 21-point copy audit that you can take anything that you write through, and it goes through all the different things that I look at, anything that I write. So it talks about the consistency. It talks about being in the right frame of mind, talks about, did you talk to one person in this email, even though millions might see it.
Sure.
So it's a great resource for people. And obviously you can print it out every time and walk through and go, did I do all these things? Great. Go ahead and hit send. So it's a great resource for people to get started in that.
I like it. No, that's very valuable. I think anybody that's been listening to this, there's a lot to pull out and apply to your business, and obviously you as a great resource to be able to help with that. Because at the end of the day, we may be able to start writing some interesting content, but we don't probably possess the wherewithal to write the great copyright that is going to actually call the action. So being able to resource people to help with that is awesome.
Yes, absolutely. Because the words you use matter and how you use them matter.
Very true. Very true. Well, Bobbie, thank you very much for joining us again. It was a blast. Definitely enjoyed that conversation. Hopefully I can continue to work on this cough and I'll survive. Thank you very much for joining us today. Make sure you subscribe. A new episode's coming out next Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., and we don't want you to miss a single one of them. Find out more by visiting lockdoc.net/podcast. We'll see you next time right here on the Coffee Break Podcast.